All right. But yeah, basically what we ended the game talking about, like, Zaya is not literally a direct counter to Kaisa. Like she doesn't just straight like it's not like the kind of counter that like Caitlyn is to Vayne, or like
Yeah.
that like an oppressive counter. It's more like the counter of Zaya has an easier time hitting her feathers because Kaisa doesn't have any like dash, right, to dodge the pole. But she does have a little bit of a speed boost on her E that helps her dodge getting hit by like 3+. But late game,
Yeah.
yeah, for the reason like if Zaya doesn't need or if Zaya's team like is even with your team, Kaisa can't really just dive on Zaya because Zaya can just dodge the burst from Kaisa and then pull the feathers in a one shot. But lane phase is pretty even. We already talked about how it'd go in the beginning. You pretty much just want to keep it in the middle of the lane. Better on your side if you can, because pretty much in this matchup or against Nautilus, it's not really that great with having a melee support against Nautilus under his tower, unless you're already like really far ahead or already won some trades. Because Nautilus getting a hook is much more devastating than anything else, because you don't really have a way to dodge Zaya's E unless you flash.
Yeah.
Um,
True.
so for the most part, the laning phase was pretty solid. There wasn't too much to talk about here. Um, One important thing, pretty much just matching size autos, which is pretty good. Because matching just so that she's only like 1 CS ahead ends up so that next wave is going to crash where it does, like right over here, which is really nice for you.
Yeah.
But definitely be aware of the level 2 spike. If they're ever going to level 2, never even try to contest her or be in range of the hook because you're going to die or lose half your HP, which I'm sure you're aware of through
Yeah.
having made that
I said
mistake before. We all have. We all know the good old
this
level 2.
entire game.
The level 2, I just lost the game.
Yeah, pretty much. It's so dumb.
I lost the game trying to get one minion. Feels bad, man. Um,
Feels worth it.
yeah. But see, you actually end up manipulating it so it ends up right here by pretty much thinning it out until you have to give it up. And then you're allowed to still keep it right here. And as long as you guys just play behind minions, Nautilus doesn't really have a entryway on you guys. This is all solid. I love how that Leona just like this is my favorite thing. Watch this, dude. No flame to Leona because it's not that important. But this minion, yeah, you know how last hits go under tower, right? Melees take
Yeah.
2 tower hits and then one more auto, right? It's totally
Yeah.
fine. You're gonna be able to last hit this, and then she just autos it, bro. And now it's gonna die to the turret, dude. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I saw that. It's so
And you
tilting.
trying to
Or what?
fix it, yeah, it's so
Dude, and what
tilting.
the range minions? If
Yes,
you're level one, I mean, if you only have one item, you need 2 hits to kill them after a
yeah,
tower shot.
uh
But
huh.
they don't hit it.
I know half the time they don't hit it, and then you miss like 4 CS, and then they're like, "Oh, I guess I should prep this last one," and you're like, "Well, cool. I would have liked the other 4 too." But but at least Kaisa's good at lasting under tower with her Q if you use it well. So that's a benefit to playing Kaisa.
Yeah. I play more Zaya lately, but my win rate on her is pretty
Yeah,
garbage.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Uh, I
I think because
wonder
at the
what.
start I was terrible.
Oh yeah, I really Zaya is a lot harder than people think she is, and like once you learn her, she even seems like easier than she is just because you're so used to her. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I
people
think
just
I
don't
am.
understand how hard it is. Like you really need to be utilizing her feathers like as much as you can the entire game in laning phase, like using them for pressure and stuff, not just they're almost like mini Caitlyn traps if you
Yeah,
use them
pretty
right.
much.
Yeah. Well, this is why we want the wave stuck right here. This is hilarious because, like, dude, do you see this? Do you see right here? What do you know what happens if no one touches this wave right now?
It'll push to them.
Yeah, exactly. And what are they fucking doing? They're just like, oh, let's just keep shoving these guys in so that we can't kill them. Let's keep
Yeah, right
shoving in
there, yeah.
and then Leona goes in for whatever fucking. What is that engage, dude? Like,
I
th-
tried to salvage it, but I couldn't.
this is why the reason this engage is impossible ever. And actually, this was a really good juke, by the way. Really nice that
Thank
you were
you.
looking for this. That's perfect because literally the reason in this lane whoever engages first is more likely to lose the fight. Well,
Yeah.
more they definitely have a bigger advantage because the hook Nautilus just has a lot more damage than Leona and just lockdown on his own. But literally,
And their
if
synergy is better.
yeah, exactly. And if Leona goes in first, Nautilus goes on you. If Nautilus goes in on you first, then Leona can go on Xayah, and then it just like trades support damage because both of you are just CC'd the whole time. That's how it should be, and that's why neither of you should be ever engaging until a jungler comes. But thankfully, this ends up baiting them for your jungler, I guess. But like, look at this. This is pushing to you. Like, I want to show you this because if you're in their position, you need to recognize this too, right? Let this fucking wave. This just needs to come into them. And then Leona, with this much HP, is never walking up. And you are missing all of this CS back here. Because you can never walk up with Leona being this low, right? Because she has no more pressure in the lane. So if they just let this wave push into them like it is and stop clearing it, you guys, like, Leona has to recall, or at least maybe if she has some potions, she'll be able to heal up over time. But either way, she has to use all of her sustain now. This wave will slowly come over here for them, and then they're just going to hold it right here and freeze it on you guys. And because either you have to recall because she's a match with her because you're not going to farm alone anyways, or you have to just stand way back here and just catch XP the whole time. And if ever Nautilus walks up, then he can just obviously leave the wave, come up here, and sit like up here with the wave being back here. You're never walking up again to catch XP now either. Like, do you see this? This is why, like, the enemy team's terrible for this. You guys actually could have just been fucked on that one engage because Leona fucked up, but they don't know how to punish it.
Yeah, that's actually what I do when I play Xayah. I usually,
Good.
if I'm dominant in lane and the wave is pushing like that, I just let it. But the thing is, your support breaks the freeze for some fucking reason.
I know, dude. They do it. You'll never escape that. You'll never escape that, dude. Even in Masters, man. And think in
like,
Challenger, it's a lot more
support.
consistent. Yeah, dude. Support. That's why, like, I truly believe support mains are the worst role players. Like, AD carry mains can be better support players than supports, like, immediately.
Yeah, I actually don't think support, you can get away with a lot. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
You don't
I
need.
think you can get away with a lot.
Oh, completely. You play Nautilus, you have Aftershock on most engage supports. You'd get a bad engage. It doesn't seem that bad because Aftershock saves your life. Like,
Yeah.
But this is a time where, okay, so we killed Xayah, right? Did we ever see Karthus before? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't think we've seen him.
I think we see him when
right here at top, right?
Right,
right here we see him top side.
Yeah.
I'm just being early on, but this is way before. I guess it's like 20 seconds, but basically you guys get these kills. Rek'Sai was here. Oh yeah, then you also kill Xayah. That's right. First it was Nautilus, then Xayah walks back in and dies.
Yeah, this is really good because now I push the wave.
Yeah, this was super good. The wave has to be shoved. Nautilus isn't here to like be able to do anything. And Karthus, I mean, you're full HP, so you shouldn't be worried about Karthus here, right? If he does come, you can just E away. You have flash if anything. But in this case, just for max efficiency. So immediately whenever you're coming to this scenario, what do you do to determine if you're pushing the wave? Like, I know obviously right here is really obvious, but like,
no, I look at my mini map. I see where my own minions are because it reflects on the enemy side.
Yep.
And if it's a bit farther away, I can push really fast.
Yep.
So if I sacrifice minions if it's really close, so I can just push it in.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can take my time, then I'll do it. To make sure I get the CS.
All right. That's totally good. But yeah, exactly. So you see this wave's already right here, so you know that you're gonna be able to push this out, just like you said. So just to be assured that you're not gonna get ganked or anything, since you know you're gonna shove this out. And by the way, if you're short on this mana, and you need to shove this out really fast, just pop a biscuit to get the mana for Q, right?
Yeah.
That's something you should think about. I think right here your Q is not off cooldown anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. It might still be worth to pop it to just use your E or W to push faster. But that's only when you're like constrained with time. I mean, generally you still want to crash the wave as fast as you can when you kill him because you want to recall as fast as you can. But that's how you get to that. But also while you're doing that now, because you can see this is pretty far back. This is definitely enough time to kill these three. You're not going to need to stand up here. This is just putting yourself more vulnerable. So as you're killing these, just kite them back to like back here, so that as soon as this kid dies, instead of even having to walk back at this point, because you have vision right here and in your tri-bush, literally you can just last hit these and you can just press B right here. Yeah. And then if Karthus ends up showing up, okay, fuck you, Karthus. We have to walk away now. But generally, you want to be as greedy as you can with your recalls. and by as greedy as you can, I mean like if you don't have vision of this bush, you're not recalling right in front of it, right? But you do, so you can afford to be greedy right there. And if he stops you, that sucks. But like this is an extra like 3 or 4 seconds that we don't really want to have to waste, because that's actually a lot of time in League. You just want to be back to lane as soon as possible so that you can get back and manipulate the wave in whichever way you want at that point. And that's a little bit like nitpicking and stuff, but that is a nice concept to know. Because that's actually kind of a problem that I see a lot of time is some people will actually move back. They have a habit of always moving back too far to recall, and then that'll actually cause you to miss some CS or the wave to not go the way that you wanted it because you come to lane even just a few seconds later.
Yeah, the reason I walk all the way back is because of habit of my past mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
When I would stay too long and then I die.
And that's why it's important to pay attention to the map at that point, right? So when you look at like your minions, you're also seeing, is there jungler on the map, or do I have the vision to recall in a more greedy area?
Yeah.
But otherwise, the furthest I would go back, if you have a crush tower, is like right here, and then if you just hug this crevice, usually if they're up here, they can't see you at that.
I see.
So that's usually the farthest back you'll want to go. And then obviously, if Karthus ends up walking up here, or you had vision, so you'd see him. But if you don't have vision, you're doing right here, then Karthus pops up right there or something, you should be good to get out. And also, it depends on who the enemy jungler is, because if it's like Elise, you can't really afford to do that, because if she sees you, she's going to pop out, stun you, and then you're kind of just fucked, right? So it is dependent on who the jungler is as well, and how vulnerable you are. Okay, so then this is like the first kind of mistake you make. Right here, the wave's actually really good for you. So, well, I guess we'll go back to this start right here. Okay, so from what you said earlier, right, you can see that this will actually push to them if no one touches it, right? And the term for that is slow push, right? So this builds up a slow push. Leona thinned out the casters, so you have like a net two minions on them right now. They're starting to hit it, and then we said contest a little bit. That's just because, if you can maintain the bigger wave, you'll be safer. We're not necessarily looking to fight them with this, but it gives you a little more pressure to be able to walk up and actually match them in the middle of the lane a little bit. And now it makes them hard for them to engage, as well as you're safer and you're not risking losing any CS because you can't walk up to Nautilus's pressure, right? So that's what it's kind of nice about this scenario. The problem is what we talked about earlier, and we never want to push into him when they're even with us. Like, can you 2v2 them right now? Would you ever?
Actually does.
Yeah, absolute, right? So if you clear these right now, if you clear this too fast, like again, where's this wave at? And this is a case where we want to be looking at where's my next wave at, because we want to keep it in the middle. We don't just want to blindly shove this out into them and now have them catch it up here, and now we have to wait for the next wave to which they can freeze it on, and now again. We're in a risky spot because you might still be able to farm while your melee minions walk up here while you have them behind you, but you're just in this position where if Nautilus does get a hook on you, you're probably dead, or you're going to have to blow flash and you're going to get chunked, which is now going to put you in a worse spot. So again, if it's up here now, they can just freeze it on you even harder, right? So we don't even want to give them that opportunity. So we need to just let we're aiming to last hit right here, right? Or if they if they kill our minions, then we can kill their minions. But what we want to do is kind of just sit in this wave and hold the pressure for it, so that they feel like they can't walk up and just clear this. If they have vision, which you have a pink in here, right? So they might think Rek'Sai's around this wall. They don't know. They might have vision up here. But what you can do now, when you see Karthus up here, you might. I mean, obviously Rek'Sai's dead, right? But I'm just giving you. In general with this situation, you're going to want vision up here, baby. But usually when you sit up here, Leona can just walk up, ward it. You don't want to face check that, because then Nautilus will give you a choke right there. But pretty much if Leona wants to ward that, that's nice. But either way, you want to be safe in playing this pocket back here. If Nautilus is in that bush, you stay opposite to him so that he can't hook you through this wave. If Nautilus is standing up here, you're going to be down here where you are right now, right? Diagonal usually. In order to make it so that he can't hook you through the wave. But again, what happens now is you kind of just don't think too much about it. It's like, oh, Xayah queued, I'm going to queue too. And now, again, this is a position where if these guys understand what just happened, if they just back up, this wave comes to them, they're now going to hold it right here.
Yeah.
And you guys can't like you can walk with you could walk with these caster minions like so much of the way, but once it turns like right here and they turn around, you can't walk up anymore because now if he hooks you, you're dead, right? So there's just no
Yeah.
point at
Else
that
can
point.
literally just walk up and one of us will die.
Yeah, exactly. If one of you just gets hooked, goodbye.
Well, what if you see 10 seconds before this, before I pushed? So what if I would? Because the next wave is gonna be a siege, I think. So
The wave
let's
after this one,
say,
right? Yeah,
yeah, after this, yeah.
it should be. I
So
think. Yeah.
yeah, so you see the middle, the where I had more minions.
All right,
So
let's
what
go
if
there.
I waited till the siege minion come, and then I would push it really hard, so the wave would crash onto them?
That would be ideal, but she's gonna be able to match your push. You're not gonna be
Yeah,
able to shove her in unless she lets you. She can easily just use her Q, auto through it, pull it in with an E. That clears all your backline without her even having to touch it. Um, so it's not that you're trying to um, shove it into them or anything. And this slow push is not meant. You're not building up a slow push to push it in. You don't even necessarily want to slow push. Like
I just want to
it just
maintain the
naturally
middle of
happens,
the.
right? Because what
Yeah,
happens with a slow push is naturally, generally, whenever a slow push happens, the other side, whoever's getting slow pushed into, if they're strong enough or if they have enough pressure, they have the opportunity at that point to freeze the lane, right?
yeah,
So we just don't want these guys to freeze the lane. So we're in a position now. We're right here. This wave is setting up for a slow push. And we know that if it slow pushes to them, and we build up a big, or we try to crash it into them, they can hold it. So the only way to really get around that would be if we can crash a big enough wave where if we have our melee minions still alive with our casters, that we'd be able to why am I blanking on the word we'd be able to like lead with them into the enemy tower, right? Because then Nautilus
yeah,
can't hook through 3 melees and 3 casters. You have a really good safety pocket with that. So if they don't have like the problem here is Xayah, as I said, she can clear the wave whenever she wants. You're never going to walk up to a Xayah and say that I'm going to shove you in for free, unless you're like stomping her, right? But this is even.
yeah,
You're never going to be in a 2v2, an even 2v2, where as Kaisa against Xayah, where you're going to say that Xayah, you can't clear this wave because Xayah can just use all of her abilities, pull 7 feathers in, the wave's cleared, right? You know that. You
yeah.
know that as a Xayah.
And it's really safe.
Right. So again, we're now slow pushing them. We don't want them to be able to hold this. So now we have to think: how do we get around that? How do we get around this opportunity of them to freeze on us, right? And do you have any idea? Because we kind of just to show you, right? This is where I said, all right, so contest this wave a bit, right? Because we'd usually been letting them just push us. I said contest this wave a bit. Honestly, you could just let them push it into you at this point, but we don't really want to just be shoved in because Infernal Drake's up. So if we're permanently shoved
Yeah,
in, we're never going to get priority back. I guess I'll go over what I was just about to say after this, so we can actually just get through this fluidly. This small thing. But so we're at
yeah,
this point right here. Sorry, this goes blurry whenever I hit play. Right. Where all right now it's pretty even. Why is it so blurry? Okay, it's pretty even. So how do we avoid them freezing on us? And
I
usually, like,
think
okay, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead, go ahead.
I think the best way to do it would be, I think if I push it a little bit, and then I'd go to that brush at River, and I use pink because I think we already have pink at Inferno, right? Because then that will give them the idea that we're doing it,
Mm-hmm.
and that will force them maybe to push so they can contest.
Mm,
It's
if
just a
they
guess.
have a freeze setup and you are doing an Infernal Drake, so the way what we know about freeze, if there's a freeze right here, this does not
Yeah,
stop you guys from going to Dragon. It stops you guys from face checking this tri bush over here because you can't really face check this area if you don't have vision if they're threatening the Infernal, right? Um, but a freeze actually is favorable because then you can actually go to Infernal, and the freeze will still be frozen by the time you come back. So what will actually happen then is whoever had it frozen. Um, so if you guys are blue side, right? Just for easy example's sake, and they have 6 minions against your 3, right, for a freeze.
Yeah.
If you leave this to go to the dragon, all that's going to happen is your 3 minions are going to die.
Yeah, and then
And
there's gonna be more minions.
depending
For
on where,
yourself.
exactly. Depending on where this wave is at, if these 3 minions die too fast, it could crash your tower, and then they lose those 3 minions, you lose those minions while you're up here. But most of the time, you're not that dragon that for too long. So if you do like rotate up and stop them, just with
What if
how
I let
freezes usually
Zaya
are.
hit me, that my minions would hit her, and so they take free damage from the enemy minion? Like,
No. So, all right, let me just say. So,
yeah,
what we're really trying to do here is, so freezes, like a slow push doesn't really happen too hard when it's just 4 versus 3 minions, right? What's really important is that it's like 6 versus 3 or 5 versus 3, because the more minion discrepancy there is, the more HP the offensive minions will have when they've cleared the wave out, right? If there's 5 of these minions and 3 of these, by the time these 3 die, these 5 minions would still be pretty healthy. But if it's 4v3, there's these 4 minions are going to have less HP than if it was 5 of them, because there's less damage, and so they push slower. So you're still in a pretty good spot, and all we want to try to do now is just match it, because we don't want them to, if they're aware of a freeze right now, what they'll do is just not hit anything, right? Because they know it's coming into them. So all you then have to do is really just play really slow and wait for this next wave has to come in here, and then once this wave hits, if it's big enough, you can start pushing. But otherwise, you're just going to, because Zaya can clear out in this case, right? Because we don't want her to clear. All we're going to be doing is just playing with a giant wave and just be last hitting permanently. Unless there's a point where they back up or something, and there's you have 9 minions or something, and you have an opportunity to actually be able to shove. But most of the time, if these 2 are still standing here or they're in the vicinity, Zaya can just, if you start shoving, she can thin out as many as she wants with her Q into W into E, however she needs to do it to thin it out, and then she can hold the 3 or 4 minions remaining with Nautilus up here to set up the freeze. So that's the problem of you shoving or crashing. But if you just keep last hitting, she never gets an opportunity to thin out, and if anything, you're always going to have that safety pocket to play in your minions.
Yeah.
And then once this next wave connects right here, and your wave's bigger, and after that keeps repeating, eventually, slowly you'll move throughout the lane, right? Each wave will slowly push up. Once you get to this point, right, and you still have this wave that you can sit in over here, then this is when now your support or you, because the wave is big, your pocket's really safe, you're up here, whatever, your support would be able to go drop a ward up here, and you'd be a lot more safe now. And then once you have vision up here, now you can kind of debate eventually if you have an opportunity to crash, you can do that. But also at this point, because of the way you've been playing it, even though it's been really slow and nothing feels like it's happening, slowly you've pushed to their side, you've gotten priority now of this dragon, so that if something does happen, you're actually able to contest up here. And you've never put yourself in a risky position to die in this area. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Cool. So that's and again, this is something that completely gets countered just by 1 Q, right? 1 Q can mess like this, can just mess it all up. Of course, that's if these guys are actually paying attention, which as you can see through this, they're not. But I'm telling you this because it's good to know for when you're on both sides of the equation. So when you're the Zaya Nautilus, you can perform the freeze, or you can recognize that, hey, I'm going to let them push into me because I have the option to freeze, right? You want to utilize that, and you want to also be able to avoid it as Kaisa in this situation. Because see, as soon as we thin both sides out, Zaya and Nautilus are able to just full on go on you, right? And if in this case, when you're right here, if Zaya just starts, we're pretty safe here. Usually Leona could stand up here, and actually especially because we knew Karthus was here because we could see him right now, you guys are pretty in a hard spot for them to just blow everything on shoving the wave. Because if Zaya uses all of her cooldown to shove the wave out, then you guys have a potential trade opportunity where you'll win the trade. You still wouldn't probably want to all in them, but it's a potential trade or potential all in if it's played really well. Yeah. But that's kind of up to Leona. But then if she does use everything to clear this, if she cleared it, you could clear those 3, because then what will happen now is the next waves will just meet in the middle again, right? Which is fine for you. The only problem comes in really when we're over here. We just want to do everything we can to prevent getting up here, and we want to hold the wave down here best as possible or in the middle, because that's where you're safe and you're not going to really die. And then again, and then how do we, if we know that we have to push them, how do we manipulate it to be safe as possible while we're pushing towards their side, right? And that's letting the minions stack up and just really utilizing our minion pockets to guarantee us safety, and not overstepping to ward before we have the priority to do so. Because if one of you gets a little impatient and walks up to ward, and Nautilus sees an opportunity to cut off, and especially if Karthus ends up being up here, right? If we didn't see him here, then you'd be in a that's just walking into death when you don't need to, because you can just whip it up.
There, we probably like still die.
Yeah, you'll definitely lose the trade. And I mean, this was pretty lucky too, because somehow those Xayah feathers didn't root her. Must have been a really. I actually want to see that. I don't know what the angle was on this Leona here. She's got 4 feathers. Oh, wow, that was a pretty bad angle.
Barely.
That was so close. Yeah, I think 2 hit her, and the third one was barely off.
There, how he hooked me. I actually tried to go behind her, but she moved down a little bit.
Yeah, dude, isn't that hilarious? Your support is like, I don't want to get hooked either.
Did you see that? Oh, it's so like that pissed me off. I had to flash now.
Yeah. I don't remember what I was gonna. I think I might have actually ended up saying it. There was one thing that I said I'll say at the end of what I was talking about, but I don't. Oh well, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I probably just covered it anyways. That's probably why I don't remember.
Oh yeah, I think right here when Karthus shows up.
Right. So, okay, this is an example actually, right here. Your Q on these melees was pretty bad. So.
Yeah, because now it's pushing to them.
This is a freeze, right? This would be frozen. Yeah. And looking where this wave is, if you guys just walk up here, these 2 minions probably die, like right as this next wave hits. But even though they die, your casters will all be dead, and then it'll end up, because there's 3 of these. It's a freeze. There's going to be the 6 minions, and then those 3 will, then their wave will come in, and you'll still have all these down here, and it'll actually be on your side of the wave, and it'll be big. But when you clear these, now it's 3 versus 3 on your side, so it's going to push them. So if you just don't do that, you're actually able to move to this Inferno in a kind of positive way for you guys bottom lane. I don't know how the fight will turn out still, but it does. You can actually go up for free right here if you didn't queue that. But now the wave gets set up to be pretty bad. And that's why we don't like autopilot. Because, like, it's seriously, it's just like those random queues that we don't think about where we're just like, oh, I'll kill these 2 minions. It's actually can be detrimental sometimes. Like, because this is actually pushing them. If these 2 are good, they're just going to freeze it. They'll just freeze it. Yeah. Because they obviously can't contest this Infernal. So they'll just keep this wave over here, deny you guys as much as they can, and then when you come to lane with a low HP Leona, half HP you're not going to get any of the wave. And I don't know if they're last hitting or if they. I bet Nautilus probably used some Relic Shield procs or something on the wave that fucked it up and made it evened out or pushed towards you. That's my biggest pet peeve when I have a Relic Shield support is, dude, they always mess up the wave because they always just walk up. They're like, oh, minion time. I'm like, dude. Please.
Here, the reason I pushed, because I already saw it pushing and we were low. So I was just like, I don't have a choice.
And if anything, when you're in this position, if you feel like you can't crash like this, again, right? What I think they actually will hold this, right? See, Xayah can thin it out, and what they could do is hold this now. But for some reason, Xayah keeps clearing. God, dude, this Xayah is so bad. She's just clearing the whole wave, dude. If she just freezes it on you, you're fucked. Like, what happens here is you should actually, because we know that they can freeze it on us. Be aware every game of if they have that opportunity. That's why matchups are really important. So, after you take this dragon, when you see this, you actually want to have your Rek'Sai come in. You just tell them you want your Rek'Sai to come in and push this with you. And to get them to do that, you tell them, take the minions. I don't care. Like, literally, just shove it. right? This is one of those times where you talked about at the beginning, right when we talked about slow pushes. It's, you when you have the time, you can take your time and last hit or whatever. Sometimes you just want it shoved ASAP so that you can recall, right? This is one of those times, and so Rek'Sai needs to come in, and we need to make sure it hits tower for this next wave, and then we can reset, and then we can come back for the next wave. But without Rek'Sai, you guys can't walk past here
Yeah.
like
We
you
need
don't.
Rek'Sai to break the freeze,
And
but they
again,
didn't.
these guys are shit, so they don't freeze it. But you guys would actually be so fucked. Like you would be so fucked right there.
I would have lost lane like 3 times now because of
Yeah.
this mistake.
Well, and this right here, this isn't your fault. Like this wave's fucked up. You have to push this out, as you said. Like this is no matter what going to slow push them. So pushing is fine. The problem is just like recognizing, and if your jungler doesn't come here, that's like another thing. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes they don't understand or don't see it. Feels bad, man, but like you just kind of have to cut your losses. And if they are going to freeze this, then that feels really bad, man. But when you see this, you say, "Thank God the enemies are not using their brain." So we get to just get a free recall. The double-edged sword of Diamond 5 or Diamond 4. Enemies don't punish you, but your teammates also don't know how to punish.
I mean, sometimes even your teammates punish you.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually,
Uh, but for the most part, it's definitely like there's ways to get around it. Like actually, when I talked about the first thing we covered about the 4 versus 3 minions and you queuing them, the
yeah.
only reason it actually ended up being slow pushed to them was because your Leona Relic shielded 2 minions or 3 minions. Otherwise, it would have still been held down by your tower, um, which would have just probably reset the wave next thing. But that's what you have to realize. You gotta like be ready for your support to fuck up the wave, and then understand how can I carry their shit wave manipulation and make up for it. And
You know
usually,
what's the funny
usually the
thing?
answer is being like really safe because
Yeah, and because you need to be consistent, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, here where we just if she didn't, let's see here. Yeah, if I saved my W, maybe we'd have killed her. But
Yeah,
look at
she
here, this is
ulted.
bullshit. Look at Nautilus damage.
I know. I know. I know, man. I hate that champion. I play against it. It just feels so unfair. Dude, he's the only one who's touched you, I think. Zaya
Him
didn't.
and Karthus.
Oh, Karthus ulti hit you,
Zaya
but you
got
even
to him.
healed it. Dude.
Yeah. How is this logical, dude? I literally have an item. Like, look at his items, dude.
Yeah,
What?
Moby's. Yeah, dude. I don't know. I was actually this is just an example of like season 10 damage. Like this is why a support player can climb because the Nautilus can play it like that and just solo kill you. Like that should not fucking happen. I was watching there was like a 5 year video. It was like 5 years ago today that like Gambit Darien retired, and I was watching like the video and I was watching the damage in the game. And man, people were doing 0 damage, and I was like, "Wow, that really is good old League of Legends." When you actually had to think about what you were fucking doing while you were fighting, and not just like, oh, I'm Nautilus, run it down, baby, spam my abilities, let's go. Like literally, like Renekton is like tickling the Trundle. The Jinx is like doing half of Ezreal's health bar every auto attack, and Ezreal has like 10 chunks of health bar. Like it was like, dude, it's so different now. Like there's so much damage now. It's crazy. Um, but next thing, I don't think we crash that. Getting turret plating. It's a good time for turret platings. You have pretty good vision. Your Rex has scouting for you guys, so you're safe.
Was it fine that I pushed here as well?
This next wave, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because you have this whole the thing. It well, does Nautilus have his ulti already? When did this happen? Right here. It's been 2 minutes, I think. Yeah, okay, so yeah, he has his ulti. I think I don't know Nautilus ulti cooldown for sure. Actually, I never really. That's wow. That's on the cooldown. I really don't actually know Nautilus ulti cooldown because I've like never played that champion. But it's probably like 100 seconds. That's what I would guess.
Yeah, probably.
but I mean, I would like I don't know if this is rotatable. Like this is fine, because you end up killing like two of their minions, so they can't really freezes. But like normally you have like this whole line. You'd want to just end up playing like in this pocket right here and trying to just clear these last two. Like wait for a Q, hover by your wave, and then once your Q comes up, you just walk into the range and press Q on them, just to make sure it crashes or they don't hold it.
Yeah, I probably
Um,
should have. I think
but
maybe I got spooked because of the
yeah,
because he one shot me. You know.
yeah, I know. But you have your ulti, you have flash, you have Leona right next to you. If when
Yeah.
you play outside of his range, like you walk back like you did, and then but you don't walk this far back. You hit like right here. This starts to like line up like that, and now you can kind of sink your way back into this pocket right here. And by the time you come back in, your Q's like 1 second off cooldown. And if Nautilus is going to come in on you, or if he does ult you, that's when you just turn your E on. You try to run around this corner so that he can't get a hook on you like
Yeah.
that. And then you should be fine with your ulti. By then, there's not really a way for them to follow up kill you. I think as long as you don't put yourself in a position to get hooked. But if this card this was live, or if there's like more people here, um, I know it's hard. It's a really quick thing to do to like check here while you're like kind of being threatened right there. But then you would have just wanted to leave the minions 100% because you'd want to come help right here. You always want to prioritize helping in your side of your jungle because you'll get more golden XP from that than you will from like 5 minions, which some people for some reason can't understand that trade off. It's like the scuttle trade off when junglers want to fight a scuttle that's unfightable, and they're like, I don't want to lose my 100 gold scuttle, dude. Yeah, well, you're gonna die, and we're gonna lose 600 gold, dude. Like, hello? You know what I mean? Like, that's exactly how it goes for junglers. But for bot laners, it's but my 3 minions. It's like, okay, if it's like 10 minions, yeah, you can't leave your tower. But if it's like 3 minions, dude, fucking get over it. Like,
Yeah.
don't lose the game
Especially
for
like
3 minions.
oh,
Like you can come back from 3 minions. You can't come back from your whole bottom side jungle being taken. I mean, you can, but it's going to be a lot harder for your jungler to come back from his whole bot side being taken than from you losing 3 melee minions.
yeah. And then you flame your jungler for not being useful.
Yeah, exactly. That's dude. Oh man, that is. There's nothing more irritating than when you're playing jungle and that happens, and then the whole team starts bandwagoning on it too because they actually don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But this is a case where she dies, and when you see Pantheon here, okay, if
Yeah, I didn't see him first, so
well, like
I
as
kind of baited Diana.
well, yeah, but even when you see him right here, like as soon as he starts walking this way, you should be leaving your tower. Like you should be gone. There's no way. Um, if they 3-man dive you, there's no way you're gonna outplay it. Not against these three because it's just too much CC.
Yeah, sure.
So it ends up kind of somehow working for you because Pantheon, instead of like he doesn't really pressure you properly, or I guess he's just really fucking. Oh, he's 1-5. Okay, well, if we know that we can 1v1 him, then we can do this. I wouldn't have thought I could 1v1 a Pantheon here. I don't know if he played it terribly. Oh, your ulti bind to shield is actually really good too.
Yeah, I think
But
I saw his score, so I
so
was like,
this
oh, he's not gonna
works.
kill me.
Yeah, this works. But like, if he's not 1-5, if he's 5-1, or if he's even like 2-0, you're gonna die to him. If he's a higher level than you, is probably actually the better way to determine if you're gonna die to him. Um, it's
No,
just
I
better
think the
to
ulti's
leave
not
and
right.
not ever stay here. Yeah, but just playing it the safest way possible because
Yeah.
I mean most of the time when I'm seeing a Pantheon who's gonna come right here and he starts to loop behind me, I know they're gonna dive me. If you don't leave now and Pantheon's strong enough to like at least stop you, which luckily this game he wasn't. He was really weak. Um, you either die to Pantheon or you sit here in the tower, maybe get a 1-for-1, but either way you're still gonna die, and that's generally not worth it because you're taking a really risky potential kill over just I can live. You're taking a potential
Yeah.
1-for-1 when it's most likely gonna be a 0-for-1 in order instead of just 0-for-0, which is just a better play. Because there's no way you outplay this if they do dive you. But PogChamp, we killed Pantheon.
Pog.
But do you get what I mean? Like this is a pretty
Yeah.
lucky situational play
Yeah, I understand. If
Yeah.
he wasn't as bad as he
Hmm.
is,
Yeah.
I would have been fucked. I should have just ran instantly.
Hmm. And like once he hits this point, right, of like, okay, well, first of all, we know he's coming down, but where is it? Yeah, okay, you're fine to stay on the tower here. Oh, you see him coming in tri-bush. Oh, he actually really wants to dive me. And this is when you look, where's Rek'Sai? If Rek'Sai is like around here, by your Krugs or whatever, I don't know if you can spam mouse, like around here, you can stay because Rek'Sai can by the time they dive, he can come for a counter gank by tower.
Yeah.
But if no one's around within like this vicinity near inner tower, you have to just leave. It's not worth the risk unless you're like 5-0 Kaisa and their bot lane has no summoners and they have barely any CC. You know what I mean? Like there's some situations where you can analyze it, but 90% of the time you're not doing that.
If you can't, then yeah.
Yeah, and if you do have the you have the opportunity here to already have been leaving. Whereas if Pantheon came from behind you, that's like a different situation where now you're kind of stuck on tower. But he gave, this is the option. Okay, I can leave. I need to leave.
And if that happens, I assume unless I'm sure I can 1-for-1, I should hold flash because it's a
Yes,
waste
yes,
for an AD carry
yes,
to waste it. Yeah.
absolutely. And then here's another case of like, I mean, there's no way you're going up to defend this, right? You know that. So look how much gold we have. Just recall. Like you're wasting time just being here because you're gonna recall anyways.
Yeah.
It's just better recall, get full HP, get your items, so that if something does keep happening down here, like they do for some reason, keep pushing. I have items for a potential fight, which is unlikely, but still, if you recall sooner, like right after this Pantheon kill, you recall. By the time you come back, you're gonna catch the minion wave like in the middle of the lane, and you're not gonna lose any of the tower. So you're not losing any CS by recalling there anyways, because you're definitely not saving that tower.
Was my rotation mid tier good, or should I stay bot?
I think it's good. It's good for now. Because you don't have any pressure from your team up bottom side, so you don't have the priority to be able to like walk up here and get vision this way. Because if you do happen to walk up here and there's 3 people here, you're just dead. So going mid's good here.
If mid lane was like someone who can wave clear, and he was at the tower, it would be fine for me to push bot.
Yeah, but as soon as they would rotate bot, you would want to leave.
Yeah.
So at that point, the more accurate play would actually be instead of shoving this wave out, you would just want to last hit and try to keep the wave here for as long as you can. If your team has someone who can like consistently wave clear mid, which early game at this point in the game, it's pretty much impossible. But if you guys are like level 13 or something, and you have like a Xerath or a Lux who's level 13, right? They can clear really easily. But a level like pre 13, usually pre 2 max abilities, only a few champions like Victor can really do that. But yeah, you'd want to hold the wave because if you end up shoving out like this, now someone on their team can now come eat this, right? And pressure it. But if you just hold it here for as long as you can, that's denying them all the CS that they can't get. That all your minions that die, someone on their team either has to overextend all the way down here in bottom lane and put themselves in a potential risk, which against like Rek'Sai Leona, that's pretty scary. Or multiple people on their team have to come bottom lane now to break this freeze in order to like force you into another lane or just to stop you from getting free XP. So it basically forces the enemies to do a risky play. But in solo queue, just a disclaimer. Be ready for your teammates to just 3v5 anyways, because
I was about to say that.
They like to do that
before, and every time, like most of the time I do it, my team fights.
Exactly.
And then they die.
So that's like in that case, just while you're last hitting and freezing down here, just be willing to rotate. Like pay a lot of attention to the map. Consistently change your camera to look at your team. And if anybody looks like they're taking some aggressive stance or something's going to happen, you just start moving. And then if you don't have to go all the way to mid, but if by the time you hit up here, because they're going to be paying attention to you on the map. If you're on the map, they might go for a dive here. But if they see you rotating up, their pressure is going to back off, right? So then, if by the time you get up to like halfway through, they've started to back up, then you can just path right back down and continue last hitting, and then rinse and repeat and on the pressure. But the only way they can ever dive is if they have a wave to begin with. So every time the wave gets cleared out, they have to relieve their pressure. So you just pretty much are only staying off the map for while they're clearing the mid tower, and then once their pressure is relieved, you can leave again or show up backup bot. Dude, Leona was really gonna E into this. She was really gonna Zenith Blade into this, dude. Ulti's cool, gets a double stun, but there's 4 people there, and like, what? We don't win that. Not we do not win engaging into them in a chokehold. Like, they have so much CC. We win if we get if they engage and we just turn it around.
Yeah.
It's like you guys just have to win through objectives until KL is level 16. And winning through objectives just comes with rotating. Holding objectives, creating objectives like freezes. That stuff's all helpful. And then just waiting, and then you freeze it bottom lane, and then if a dragon's coming up, dragon's 20 seconds to spawn. Now I'm pushing it out. Or same with topside or Baron, and dragon. Same thing, Baron or dragon on both sides of the map. Oh, I still have a little doodle.
Oh, there goes my house.
Oh yeah, and this is a point where it's just okay, you have enough for an item like Greaves. If you ever have a spike item, which I would consider Greaves a spike item, good move speed, a lot of attack speed. Clear this out, right? This is a window to recall. There's no minions come to the lane. A fight shouldn't happen down here. You don't want to fight, so we're just recalling and buying our Greaves because we're not going to miss CS if we do it ASAP, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
I never thought about Greaves as power spike.
They're 35% attack speed. That's a lot of fucking attack speed, man. That's a lot, especially for Kaisa's E. But yeah, they are definitely a spike item. They're not a power spike item as much as I'm not comparing them to an Infinity Edge, but they're definitely an item that you want to back for when you have the gold for them.
It would make a difference.
Right. And so, see, we actually end up, because you went for a W here or something. I think, do you finish this one? Yeah, okay, but we were recalling, or we clear this wave. Let's just to get the point across. Let's see. All right, we cleared it at 1709. When do we finally recall? Is it right here?
5 seconds.
5 extra seconds. And we get back. Let's see how far away we are from catching this wave. About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you would have gotten probably 2 melee minions.
Yeah.
If not all 3. But that, just to get the point across, that's 60 gold. It's not the end of the world in minions, but it adds up. It adds up. Yeah, exactly. That's how you that's how you push an advantage, is you don't miss that stuff.
Yeah.
And this is where and this is a kind of the game where you're saying or you kind of ask I kind of struggle with where to be mid game. In this kind of game, you just need to play to your win condition. What's your guys' win condition? Oh, we're scalers. I'm pretty strong, but clearly, I mean, from the skirmishes, you guys don't necessarily win an all-out skirmish because, I mean, even though you're Kaisa, you have 2 items. You're not at your strongest yet. You don't have your E upgrade, and also their Karthus was getting pretty fed. But just play to our win condition, right? Which would just be we just want to keep everything alive. We just want to not let them get objectives or snowball, and we just want to use the lead that we have to continue scaling up. It's kind of like the comp that Clutch Gaming had against SKT, right? I don't know if you watched that one, but they played Heimerdinger and Rise. So Rise is their win condition there, and what they really want to do, right, is they want to use Heimerdinger's I can't remember who their whole comp was. What was their top laner? Do you remember?
I believe it was
Ezreal. It was Ezreal.
Oh yeah, Ezreal.
So they picked a lot of long range defensive poke comps that are they're hard to kill champions. And they're hard to penetrate their walls. Heimerdinger drops his turrets in the lane. He just wave clears with those. Ezreal has long range safety poke. He can kind of poke the enemies away from engages, and he can farm pretty safely as well. So what their comp really was trying to do was just enable Rise late game. They were just trying to turtle all the way up till Rise hits level 16, has his fucking huge items, and then he just goes 1v5 mode. And
unless you're any Rise.
Yeah, but that's the same in this case. We have a comp designed for later game. As AD carry, it's kind of hard to have a lot of agency on your own. So most of the time, you just want to be wherever you feel like the team needs you. And how do you measure that is just like by just weighing out, does my team have good wave clear without me, or do they need my pressure to farm, right? If they don't need you mid to help wave clear, if they're not going to get dove mid without you, or if you're not going to die side laning, because if they have like a Rangar, you don't ever want to side lane. You just want to be, as AD carry, positioned mid game around objectives that are most vulnerable, most valuable. Because usually, like AD carry being at an objective or not is usually the biggest determinant of we can get that objective or not, right? Like AD carries missing on Baron fight is probably the biggest, is like the most crucial thing for a team. In an even game. Obviously, there's games where you like have the fucking 15-0 enemy Katarina. That doesn't matter what the enemy AD carry is, but like that's not the common occurrence,
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard, and this game is not, maybe not the best example for like how do I pressure harder mid game, just because your team was never really grouping. But like if you're mid right here, right, you're doing what you should be. You should just be wave clearing mid. In between mid waves, you go take your jungle camps. If if Rek'Sai's not doing his Raptors and his Raptors are up, you go take Raptors. Next time you clear mid wave, depending on how much time you have, if you've got a long time, you can go all the way down and take Krugs, or you can go take your Wolves, right? You just, or if you guys have the objective advantage and you're playing like really aggressively and they're like that, then you can push out mid. Like, I guess an example would be, I'm just gonna do this right now. if your mid tower's up and you guys are heavily winning early game, like, and their mid tower's down, and you're constantly standing up here to clear waves, right? Usually, what you're doing from this point is, if you're, like Rek'Sai's a solo laner, sure, he's pushing bottom lane. Your top, you swapped with your mid laner or top laner, right? And they went to bot, sure, he's pressuring. Your top laner or whatever can be pressuring top. You're going to be wave clearing mid, and then you're just going to be rotating kind of into the enemy jungle, like in between mid lane and the side lane that you might rotate to.
Oh, okay. So my presence is basically almost everywhere.
Yeah. So you're like, if you're solo laner whose bot is like has the teleport, and your top laner doesn't have the teleport, then you're gonna want to play on the side whoever doesn't have teleport, because it's they're not gonna be able to get to the bottom lane fight if you do go to force something there. But really, what you're gonna be doing is like clearing a mid lane pretty high up. It gives, then your mini wave pushes up into that mid lane, right? Sorry, this is bad angle, but working with the camera, right? The minions will push up through mid, and then you'd be able to like rotate here, eat Raptors if they're up. Every time they're up, you want to take them red buff, Krugs, whatever, or you can go on their bottom side if you're going to lean towards that. Take Wolves, Blue, Grump. Obviously, do it safely, but that's generally what you're looking to do: is rotate, push through mid, rotate to a side that your teammates are going to be able to pressure with you, that you're safe going to, and then take the camps. Or if eventually Rek'Sai hits this tower, right, you push up mid, and now let me delete all this shit. If you're whoever's pushing bottom lane hits the like bot tower or other inner tower or whatever, you clear this out, and then because you clear this out, someone is forced on their team to deal with the inner wave, right? Basically, and then as soon as you clear it out, you're not walking up to this wave just to watch it get eaten. You're moving into the jungle to go join up down here and give number advantage, because someone on their team is still stuck mid lane clearing, and you guys have a short period of having numbers advantage down here. And it's just like what's really important.
Why you told me to go bot at some point.
Yeah. Pretty much. But yeah, we'll hopefully see a better example of.
I think it's yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because
right.
Because we kill. It's 2 for 2, so now it's 3v3. Right. So this, yeah, exactly. Prime example. You have the priority here, so you actually have priority to clear this wave out. You're not going into a super risky spot. You dodge that. You're pathing down this way, going and meeting Rek'Sai with his wave down there, right? Because look, they have to deal with this wave mid still, because they don't have to. They're not going to lose a turret, but they want to. That's a big wave of XP and gold that they don't want to miss. That's because if you're constantly forcing their team to miss that one wave of top or mid XP, that adds up. That ends up being a lot over time. So that's how teams generally slowly ramp up in XP and gold lead, when like sometimes no kills happen, but you're like, dude, how are they so far ahead? It's usually because of that. Right, but and if you guys were able to push it further, you would already have this way with Rek'Sai. You'd be able to hit that inner tower, but it's 3v3, so it's not. But if it was like 3v2 and you guys had numbers advantage and you had like dive potential, then you guys can just pressure that tower together. Especially because one of their teammates will be mid, Because if one of them isn't mid, you guys would just have taken that mid tower when you pushed mid in, right?
Yeah.
You forced one of them to show up mid. They're gonna clear that wave. You had Rek'Sai pushing up bot here. You go there. If we're in that same position, fuck, where is it? Did I skip it? Did I go too far back?
Yeah, I think yeah.
Oh yeah, I did. Okay, yeah. If we're in the same position, right, where we pushed up mid, we got this up. If Rek'Sai is not very far up here, like if Rek'Sai is clearing a wave down here, we're obviously not going to rotate for this wave because it's not going to be here by the time we make it there. So that's a time where we're like, okay, Rek'Sai is just clearing bot. I'm instead just going to, at this point, you would just look for the most value that you can get. So, you might just take their jungle if you see their bottom side jungles up, you might just eat that all and then just run down here, recall, meet up with your team and reset again. You might do it to top side because you're not meeting Rek'Sai bot. If top camps are up, you're gonna want to take top camps. Or if neither are up, right, like Rek'Sai's bot, say you don't feel comfortable going into their bottom side jungle, like you're afraid that they can still kill you, then you could just leave and go eat this top wave and then just reset after that.
Yeah.
But you're gonna want to reset at least. Try to reset to match like your teammates' death timers because you don't want to be not reset. They're alive for 30 seconds. Mordekaiser reaches bottom lane, starts pressuring bot, and now you have to recall, and it stalls everybody a while. This was all just good thing we traded that 1-for-1 there. Otherwise, they got Baron.
Oh, they still got Baron.
Oh yeah, yeah. But you at least stopped Xayah from having it.
Yeah, at least I get some money.
Oh yeah, they got Baron before you killed it. That's right. Next time. 7. Right, so this was a time, right? So I think what you do is run here. If you guys have priority, you just shove this mid wave out real quick. Honestly, you could actually probably shove out mid first here, because Kale's in a you've got good vision down here. You're not going to get ganked from this side at least. So I would have actually walked up and tried to push this out. If someone showed up, I would then back off and go to my Raptors. But first, I would try to shove this out.
Yeah, and I think we saw lots of them top sides, so I could just have holded bot side.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and then you'd shove this out. There's nothing else, nowhere, or once you shove this mid wave out, you're not going to walk up with it because no pressure top, not enough pressure bot. We're not going to solo mid by ourselves. So then you'd rotate down to these Raptors and eat them, and then afterwards Krugs while your kills are resetting, and then you'll be resetting after this. You'll have your item, and you'll be meeting up with your team. Which is good. I can't believe we lost a triple Inferno game. It's crazy, dude. Pretty sure you have like a 95% chance of winning if you have triple Infernals.
We should have won. Yeah, but if your team doesn't play as a team, there's no way you're going to win. Like, imagine if they had triple Inferno. We wouldn't have stood a chance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You guys would have got obliterated.
I'm actually surprised. Like, we had Kale and Mordekaiser and Leona.
And Kaisa. But it was literally just people just didn't want to play the game. I don't know. Egos, dude. Egos are insane. So this is a time you cleared mid out. This is just kind of be with your team. Don't really want to sit in mid lane. What you'd want to do here is hover up here, either through here or you could path up here and kind of just sit around the Raptors, just giving your Rek'Sai and Leona some backup up there so that if something does break out, you're at least in range already to start fighting. Because you're not doing anything in the middle of the lane right here. Like, nothing's happening. See, the fight is kind of breaking out, and we have no pressure to keep them off of our team at all. Obviously, that ended up still going poorly, but if you're over this wall to the start, you might be able to get a Q and some autos off to start the fight off, and that might be enough to like cause them to back up. You just have to. You're not engaging a fight, but you're just giving presence. It's like having your support in bottom lane. They just give you some presence so that you can farm. It's the same thing. Give your junglers some presence to take jungle camps.
Heroes, I fucked up.
I mean, honestly, this ended up being pretty good. The only thing that makes me worry is like we had no idea what this area looked like before you went over. You know what I mean? Like, because if you don't take the 2 for 2 here, if somehow like you didn't get Lux or Nautilus or just one of them, and it ends up being just Leona versus these three, you guys lose a lot more than you. Thankfully, you took out 2 of them, so it actually became okay because they won't have enough time to push. But if you'd flashed that and not actually killed Nautilus or Lux, they would have probably been able to maybe even end. I don't know. I don't think they have they have a full wave actually. Well, definitely not end, but they would get. They still get inhib. I don't know. I think it ended up being. I mean, what you did ended up being good, but it was just kind of really risky, really blind flash. Definitely want a little more information before we go over the walls.
Because in my head, I was like, if I don't do it now, she's gonna go too far, get a shield. So I was like,
yeah,
fuck it. I just flash and killed her.
yeah.
And then Nasus gifted me a kill too.
Yeah, it worked out. I mean, you got a lot of gold off that. Wasn't the end of the world right there. Oh yeah, what was this? Oh yeah, and then this is another time similar to
I should have freezed there.
No, so right here is that's no, you don't want to freeze that because Baron's up. But so this is where you're hovering around like the red buff. So this is another time where like just when you're sitting somewhere, like when you're in mid waiting for the mid wave, right? Like earlier, and your team was up here, just put yourself in an area that you're actually gonna be able to react to something instead of just like sitting there waiting, right? Like because red buff's gonna come up, we know, and wait till it's like 10 seconds to spawn or 6 seconds to spawn, and before then like sit further up here or like even just over here, right? Within an area. What happened to my line? It got so small. Within an area that like if something breaks out in mid lane and you're right here, you can get to it a lot faster than if you're right here. That's which is and that's important to be able to rotate really quickly. And it's just like you know how long you have until the rev is going to come up. Just wait. There's no need to be standing right on top of it. It's better to be hovering in an area that you might be able to, if something by chance does break out, because it happens all the fucking time, right? Like you gotta always be ready for solo queue shenanigans to happen. You went really ham here.
Here I could have. Like what?
You just got perma-rooted by Nautilus at one point, but
okay. So I actually
well, you hit a pink ward right there.
I should have E'd. Yeah, I hit it once.
Yeah.
But yeah, I should have E'd then and moved another place, but Nautilus just fucked me.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of even going in here just because with Karthus here being full health, you don't steal this. Like you don't steal this. It's if you have smite, go for it. But this just isn't worth it. Instead, what we should look to do here, the more optimal play, is Pantheon soloing himself out. Like he's chasing this guy. If you can just come to this wall and get an auto on him or W into R on Pantheon and just make it so that one less person on their team is going to have the Baron, that's a much better play. Because you're also going to survive on Pantheon. You're going to take a 1-for-0, you're going to reduce one of their Barons, and you're going to survive. Whereas if you go on Baron, you might take a 1-for-1, you might take an 0-for-1, or you might take nothing at all.
Yeah.
Including not getting Baron. Like, right? Like, that 100% play on, like, it's like a 90% chance play on Pantheon that you at least kill him or get his GA and take off his Baron. At least pop his GA. But, and then even if you do kill Pantheon and they end up coming down on you guys, you have a much, like, your area of outplay from there is a lot bigger than if you just jump into the Baron. But just taking the 1-for-0 on Pantheon, that's like pretty much guaranteed, is just safer and just a better play because you're not stealing the Baron. You care about reducing their Baron power. So just go on the one guy who singled himself out over here.
Yeah, I think I got too excited here.
Yeah, because I think even if you kill Lux, you take 1-for-1, which is like that's the same result than if you just killed Pantheon.
Yeah.
But instead, if you kill Pantheon, you get 1-for-0. Which is just worth it.
If Nautilus wasn't there, that would have been good, right?
Yeah.
Because then no one can actually take it down.
Right.
Right, see.
Right. If they don't, CC is like your biggest, an AD carry is like worst nightmare. Aside from champions like Talon, who are just gonna one shot you regardless. But like that, that's what you mostly want to consider. Like, oh, am I gonna can I outplay the CC against Nautilus? If you go right point blank into him, pretty much no chance. Because especially if he has ulti, 0% chance.
Yeah, like I'll just be chain CC'd.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if you were worth a shutdown, but actually, were you?
Let's
see. Where do you die? I don't think you were. Okay, yeah, you weren't. No. Wait, you were. You were 200 extra gold. See that you just gave 500 gold shutdown and the shutdown XP. Super not worth.
Two cards.
See what I mean though? Like this. As you said, if Nautilus isn't here and it's just Lux Karthus, you can do this. Like, go for it. If you think you can outplay the Karthus, dodges Qs, you're probably going to take 2 for 1. It's going to be really hard to survive it, but you could definitely take 2 for 1 if you outplay them here. But with Nautilus here added into the equation, it becomes like a definitely don't do this. Oh, Pantheon sold himself out. I can take that guy down. And that'd be value.
That's just a massive mistake. Maybe that was the reason, we could have maybe came back from that.
I mean, like it adds into it, right? Any error you make reduces your chances of winning. Like, and of course, we don't all play perfectly, but we can try to play as consistently well as possible. And by that, you want to reduce the variant plays of, oh, I can maybe do this, to like, oh, I know I can do this, right? And most of the time when you think about outplays now, outplaying most used to be like there used to be way more potential for outplay as an AD carry before. But like late in the most recent seasons, there's just damage is so high that literally if they have CC that you're going to get hit by, you're like not going to outplay it. It's like almost impossible. Like if you get CC'd, you're just dead. Like that's how AD carry is these days.
About the season. It's really hard. Like you get popped really fast.
Yeah,
I played a game where they weren't that fed, and I was pretty fed, but
you still get one shot.
Spit on me.
Yeah.
Yasuo literally EQ one shot me.
Yep. Yeah. Positioning is like the most important thing. I mean, it's always been important to AD carry, but like these days, positioning is the most important thing now. Just like not positioning in terms of like team fighting, but also just positioning yourself on the map well the whole game. Like being in the least likely to die areas while also being able to actually like get some value out of where you're at. Like farming, jungle camps, pressure, objective control. That's all just really important. And it just being alive so you're able to actually pressure those objectives instead of taking risky plays that might win you the game or might give them the Baron, which loses you the game.
What do you think about the new AD carry changes, by the way? The XP?
Oh, I think it's bullshit, dude.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. These changes actually don't make me feel as bad as like most other preseason changes seemed. The only thing is like I love how Riot has made the game a lot more team play based, but the problem is just that people don't play as a team still.
Yeah.
Which is like that's what I'm nervous for, is like next season if dragons really are that important. I know how many games get thrown because my team just randomly gives up Baron. Like, do I really have to deal with that at 7 minutes into the game next season with dragons? That's going to feel pretty bad. But
yeah, that's true.
But we'll see, because maybe people adapt to actually start playing a lot better because they understand how important early game is now. But I think the second to last note I had was, oh yeah, this is just similar to like the mid game rotations. This is like what you do late game. It's just stuff, you're in mid, you're safe, 3 people are dead. If everyone on the team's alive, you're not doing this with no vision around you in mid lane. But because the people are dead, you're safe to do it. You shove out mid, you have no pressure in another lane. There's no point going to top. His eye is going to be alive by then, right? There's no objectives possible. So we got our mid lane farm. We're going to go before we reset. Still time for these people to be alive, and Leona's also doing her thing, so she's going to need to reset. So that's when we're going to like try to be doing something with our downtime, right? So we cleared out mid. Hey, there's a bottom farm coming, or bottom wave coming for me. I'm just going to go eat that really quickly before I get my reset off. Always,
take their jungle.
Huh?
Take their jungle, because if their rank goes up, for example,
yeah,
I can just go there. If bot isn't like there's as many as bots.
Yep, exactly.
I just take that real quick and then run away.
Yep, Just always looking for some XP to grab. Just literally always trying to get XP somehow. and don't feel like, because there's still sometimes people get overwhelmed then, because it's like, oh well, I always need to be trying to like do something, and then they'll be in a game where they'll be like, oh, but I feel like I can't do anything here, like what the fuck do I do? It's like sometimes there's truly like, you push down mid, there's no camps up, there's actually just nothing for you to do really except for sit mid. But
Yeah.
if you can like just even just get vision, that's something. If sometimes you don't have any wards left or anything, but at that point it's like, do whatever the next most valuable thing would be. If you need to wait mid, if the closest mini wave coming to you is mid and there's nothing else to do, sure, wait for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for the most part, you're mostly gonna find the other things to do. But don't feel overwhelmed when you're like, don't feel like you literally always have to be doing something, because there are some times that it's just not actually possible. Oh, I think this was the fight. There was one fight that looked so good. I think it was this fight actually, right? Yeah, and you guys get Baron. Yeah, what? How do we even lose here?
Yeah, we got Baron, so now the
Oh,
only thing
Rek'Sai
left
is
is gonna
tunneling
start.
into a
Yeah.
Lux. Oh, Zaya just fucked them like 1v3. Wow. Okay, well that's what happened. Zaya actually just destroyed them.
Look at Kale, no ulti.
That was a really good try.
Faster.
That was so close to killing Karthus. Is that the end of
Yeah.
the game? No. No, it's not. But the next push is. And then what happened here? Well, I guess if we want to say something about this, I don't think this is too bad. I think you were looking a lot. You think you had a lot of good looks for this? Like, trying to jump onto Karthus up here was really nice. Fortunately, Zonias, you're zoning off two of them. Nautilus comes up. Really good Zonias. Karthus ulti. I think this flash was really actually unnecessary. So because you Zonias her Q, like at this point you should see, like, there wasn't really anything gonna kill you.
That's
Like,
facts.
if you're gonna flash, wait until at least Lux is throwing her Q out and you see it's gonna hit you, then flash it. But otherwise, just keep kiting Nautilus, try to get your E up, and then use that to like reposition.
Yeah. And the
But
fact
I
that
think going back in right there was a little really risky, because at this point I would assume this is warded. This bush is definitely warded. There's no way it's not. So like once you come back in, they're all going to turn on you. I think at that point it would just leave, because your team is all dead. But nevertheless, when you came into this position, you actually played it pretty well and almost took the card. And that would have been really, really good. So not a bad, not poorly played, just not the best decision.
Yeah, I could have played it better.
Okay, this is nice. He gets deleted.
Here where I get shit on. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, Zaya.
So retarded.
Well, okay, well you did lose half your HP to Karthus. Yeah, she just has too much damage here.
Balanced.
Yeah, I guess in this case, against Zaya, that's why, like, when you are Kaisa against Zaya, it's really hard to dive in on her, and you more want to try to play front to back than dive her, unless you're really, really far ahead of her.
Yeah, I kind of saw like my Mordekaiser in. So I thought, okay, I think if I go there and help him, we're guaranteed to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got deleted.
Yeah. But one thing, and I think that was pretty much it from this game. I don't think there's anything else to go over. One thing I noticed because I said that you don't want to go, or like, what are you building? You say you wanted to go this build because it scales. One thing to consider is, like, this is solo queue. You have like Kale and Mort are pretty good late game. Kale's really good late game. Mort's good late game, and you're good late game. Even if you go Stormrazor, like it's not as strong as this build, I guess. But when you're snowballing early on, going Stormraiser will help your really late game centric team be like it'll help you carry them through mid game more if you have a stronger early game build, and then your Kale will hit late game, and then she's going to be the pop off now, and you're still going to be strong. I'm not saying your build choice is wrong. I'm just saying that's one another way to look at it as.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
You don't
Actually,
always
if
want to
I
be the
get
one
stronger,
scaling with your team. Sometimes you want to be the
yeah,
reason that they're able to scale because you can carry them into that point.
I'm like the bridge, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. Do you have anything else? Any questions about this game or anything?
No, it's actually I understand it now. I
Okay,
understand the mistakes that I did.
cool. And I do have this session recorded, so I can I'll probably just put it up on YouTube or unlisted if or post it, but I'll link you to it whether it's unlisted or not. You'll have it.
Okay, and I think it's 2 sessions, no? Or
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
only
yeah,
1 session.
yeah. You
Yeah.
definitely sent me two. I am aware of that, but I just want to
Okay,
let you
just
know,
make sure.
just so you can look back at it, because this one definitely. Usually the first session I have with someone, I try to go over um, a much larger amount, because it's like I want, we go over everything that specific thing, but then in other games there'll be some reoccurring um, themes to the session, right? Like kind of the same concepts, and we just have to focus more on developing the good habits and steering away from bad habits rather than like
Yeah,
introducing all these new concepts every session. It's more just like here's all the things that we want to be looking at, like wave manipulation, how important certain things are, right? Like how one Q can actually just fuck you up, um,
yeah,
and that stuff. And then you put that into practice in the next session. Hopefully, we'll see you developing a lot on that apart a lot, and then certain points of it that you still need work on, and that's what the next sessions usually tend to entail.
yeah. That sounds good to me.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to? Is it going to be, or what do you want to do the next session? Like same time next week, or?
Let's see. Yeah, same time next week.
All right.
That's good.
Cool. So like, okay, around like 12 p.m. Or what time is it for
Yeah,
you?
it's 4:46 p.m.
So you're central.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, because you're 2 hours ahead. So yeah, like around like 2 p.m. for you then next Saturday.
yeah.
Cool. All right, I'll put you down for that, dude.
I did. Thank you.
Yeah, dude. Good luck in your games. Take it easy.
Yeah, GG, you too.
See ya.